The night I found the Whisperer's Codex, I wasn't looking for trouble. The library had become my refuge, a sanctuary from the chaos of the world outside. Finals were approaching, and the pressure was relentless. Nestled deep in the quiet stacks of the university library, I stumbled upon a section I hadn't seen before. The books here were older, their spines cracked and titles faded. One stood out to me, the Whisperer's Codex. Its leather binding was engraved with strange symbols that seemed to shimmer when the light hit them just right. I pulled it from the shelf, a thrill of discovery coursing through me. The title alone sent a chill down my spine, but curiosity has always been my weakness. The book fell open to a page filled with Latin text and peculiar illustrations. I could make out phrases like vocem audire and aperier ostem. My Latin was rusty at best, but the allure of the unknown was irresistible. Almost without thinking, I read aloud the passage that caught my eye. The air around me seemed to shift. A faint rustling noise echoed through the stacks, but when I looked, no one was there. I brushed it off as nerves and packed up for the night. As I walked back to my dorm, I couldn't shake the sense that I was being watched. Shadows seemed to stretch longer than usual, pooling in unnatural ways under the streetlights. I told myself I was just tired. That night, I was jolted awake by the buzz of my phone. It was a text from my brother Jonathan. I hadn't spoken to him in years, not since the fight that tore our family apart. Seeing his name on my screen sent a jolt of confusion and unease through me. Jonathan, I'm in the library basement. You need to come. There are secrets here that will change your life. My fingers hovered over the screen. Why now? Why here? The library basement was off limits to students, supposedly due to ongoing renovations, though rumors of hauntings had circulated for years. I debated ignoring him, but the pull was too strong. Maybe he needed help. Maybe this was his way of extending an olive branch. I grabbed my coat and headed out. The campus was eerily quiet, the kind of stillness that feels oppressive. The library loomed in the distance, its silhouette stark against the moonlit sky. Inside, the air was heavy, tinged with the scent of old paper and something metallic I couldn't place. Every step echoed as I descended the stairs to the basement. The door creaked open, revealing absolute darkness. I called out, "Jonathan?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the void. Then I heard it, his voice low and urgent. "We are all here now. Open the book." My heart raced. I hadn't brought the book with me. The whispers began then, soft at first, like wind through leaves, but they grew louder, overlapping, until they became an unbearable cacophony. My phone's flashlight barely pierced the darkness, illuminating only fragments of the room. Shadows seemed to shift and coalesce, forming shapes that defied logic. "Jonathan, where are you?" I demanded, my voice trembling. His voice came again, but it was wrong, distorted, layered with other voices. "Open the book. It's the only way." Panic set in. "I don't have it," I shouted. The shadows surged forward, and I stumbled back, tripping over something unseen. The flashlight flickered, then died. The whispers turned to screams, a deafening chorus of anguish and fury. Hands, or what felt like hands, gripped my arms, my legs, pulling me down. The sensation was cold, like ice burning against my skin. I clawed at the floor, desperate to escape, but the darkness was alive, swallowing me whole. My screams joined theirs, and then nothing. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the basement anymore. The space was vast and featureless, an endless expanse of gray. Figures moved in the distance, shadowy and indistinct. Their whispers continued, an unending drone that set my teeth on edge. I tried to speak, to scream, but no sound came out. Time lost meaning. Days, hours, minutes. I couldn't tell. The figures drew closer, their features becoming clearer. They were people, or had been. Their eyes were hollow, their mouths twisted in silent screams. Among them, I saw a face I recognized. "Jonathan, you shouldn't have come," he said, his voice a hollow echo. "The book wasn't meant for you." "What is this place?" I managed to choke out. My voice sounded foreign, as if it didn't belong to me. "It's the in-between," he said, "the price for curiosity." I wanted to argue, to demand answers, but the figures began to close in. Their hands reached for me, pulling me into their midst. Their touch was unbearable, each one a fragment of pain, regret, and despair. I felt myself dissolving, becoming one with the whispers. The next thing I knew, I was back in the library, but something was wrong. The air was too still, the light too harsh. I reached out to touch the table in front of me, but my hand passed through it. Panic rose as I realized I wasn't solid. A faint reflection in the library window confirmed it. I was a shadow, barely there. The Whisperer's Codex lay on the table where I had found it, pristine and untouched. Students moved past, oblivious to my presence. I tried to scream, to warn them, but the whispers swallowed my voice. I've been here ever since, trapped between worlds, watching as others find the book, drawn in by the same curiosity that doomed me. I want to tell them to stop, to leave it alone, but they never hear me. The shadows grow with each new victim, their whispers becoming louder. Some doors are meant to stay closed, but once opened, they can never be shut again. The night was unnaturally quiet, a kind of stillness that made your skin crawl. I'd been trying to distract myself, flicking through old photos on my phone, but my mind kept circling back to the text from Lisa. The first one had seemed harmless enough. Your mother's spirit cursed me. Where is she buried? I need to break this curse. I thought it was some bizarre way to get my attention, something born out of spite after our breakup. Lisa wasn't the superstitious type, or so I thought. Sure, my mom had been eccentric, with her constant talk of spirits and her habit of lighting candles in every corner of the house, but Lisa always rolled her eyes at it. That's why her texts caught me off guard. I ignored them, figuring she'd give up once she realized I wasn't going to play along. But the texts didn't stop. They grew more frantic. Ethan, I'm serious. I can't sleep. The dreams won't stop. Please, tell me where she's buried. Then, she's in my head. I hear her laughing. Ethan, help me. I'd blocked her number after that. Whatever she was going through, I didn't want to be a part of it. I told myself it was just another ploy for attention, another attempt to drag me back into her drama. And yet, a small part of me felt uneasy, not because of her claims, but because I'd been having strange dreams too. Dreams where my mom's voice echoed through endless hallways, her words tangled and distorted. Then came the night I came home to find the markings. I opened the door to my house and was immediately hit by the coppery tang of blood. The air was heavy, oppressive, as if the house itself was holding its breath. My first thought was that someone had broken in, but nothing was missing. Instead, the walls were covered in strange symbols, scrawled in what looked disturbingly like blood. They were jagged, chaotic, and yet there was an unnerving symmetry to them. My chest tightened as I walked through the house, my footsteps echoing too loudly. The walls seemed to pulse, like they were breathing, and then I heard it. A faint whisper, too soft to make out the words, but unmistakable. It wasn't coming from any specific direction. It was everywhere. I stumbled back into the living room, my heart hammering, and that's when I saw her. Lisa. She was standing outside the window, her face pale, and her eyes weren't right. They were glassy, unfocused, like she was staring at something beyond me. She was clutching something in her hand, a crude, makeshift dagger, its blade glinting dully in the dim light. The walls, she said, her voice trembling but determined. They're telling me you're hiding her spirit. I froze. Lisa, what the hell are you talking about? Her lips twisted into a grimace. Your mother, she cursed me. She's in these walls, Ethan. I can hear her, laughing at me, mocking me. Tell me where she is. You're not making any sense. Just go home. I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But she didn't move. Instead, she raised a dagger and began tapping it against a window, the sound sharp and deliberate. I'm not leaving until you tell me, she said, her voice cold. That's when I called the police. I kept my eyes on her the whole time, half expecting her to smash through the window, but she just stood there, staring, her movements unnervingly still. When the operator assured me that officers were on their way, I hung up and backed away from the window. The whispers grew louder. They weren't just whispers anymore. They were voices, overlapping and relentless, their words just out of reach. I pressed my hands to my ears, but it didn't help. They weren't coming from outside. They were inside me. Suddenly, the front door slammed open, and Lisa was there. I didn't even see her move from the window. One moment she was outside, and the next she was inside, her body jerking in unnatural, puppet-like movements. The dagger gleamed in her hand, and her expression was twisted with a mix of rage and desperation. "Tell me where she is," she screamed, lunging toward me. I stumbled back, tripping over a chair and crashing to the floor. She loomed over me, her breath coming in ragged gasps. I scrambled backward, my hand slipping on the polished wood. But she was faster. She grabbed my arm, her grip iron-strong, and raised the dagger. Before she could bring it down, the police burst in. 2 officers tackled her to ground, wrestling the dagger from her hand. She fought them with a strength that didn't seem human, shrieking and clawing like a wild animal. It took both of them to pin her down, and even then she kept thrashing, her eyes rolling back in her head. As they dragged her away, she turned her head to look at me, her face contorted into something almost unrecognizable. "You're next," she hissed, her voice low and guttural. I didn't sleep that night. The whispers didn't stop. If anything, they grew louder, more insistent. The house felt alive, its walls vibrating with malevolent energy. I packed a bag and left the next morning, vowing never to return. Later, I learned about the house's history. Blackthorn Manor, as it was once called, had a dark reputation. Every owner before me had met a gruesome end, succumbing to madness or worse. The stories varied, but one detail was always the same: the whispers. I moved far away, thinking distance would keep me safe, but the whispers followed me. They're quieter now, more subtle, but they're always there, waiting. I've tried to drown them out with music, with alcohol, with anything I can think of, but nothing works. Sometimes in the dead of night, I hear Lisa's voice among them, laughing, and sometimes I swear I feel the walls breathing,